This is the MBK Beat with Mark Kashevsky from MBK and Associates, Inc. Your place for finding all you need to know about life insurance and how you can get more out of your money. Recorded live here in Buffalo, New York, it's time for the MBK Beat with Mark Kashevsky.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to the MBK Beat with Mark Kashevsky. We're back, and we're talking PPP loans. And Mark was just telling me off the air why we're here today. We have a significant amount of people with a significant amount of money, and we don't know what to do with it. So tell me again, what are we seeing out in the industry?
Well, there are a meaningful number of professional and business clients who qualified and received PPP loans, both first round and second round, kept their staff on board, paid their bills, so they can justify the loan, but they had sufficient cash flow, so they didn't need to use any or all of the PPP loan, and both the loans were forgiven, which means that's a tax-free gift to these people. And recently I was discussing a IRA Roth alternative conversion with a professional client about his IRA, and he liked the concept, and we proved the concept as opposed to a traditional Roth or using a mutual fund, because we create significantly more income with our contract, our overfunded IUL contract. And he was ready to sign, and we're going to do the case in Florida, so he has to do everything down there. But in any case, he went home, calls me after he gets home. Before dinner, I get a call from him. I say, "What's this all about?" And he says, "Mark," I said, "I really like that idea, but do I have to use my IRA money?" I said, "Well, what do you mean, John?" I said, "Well, I had all this PPP money. I kept my staff. I paid my bills. The loans were forgiven, but I still have a lot of that money in the bank. Could I use that money or some of it?" I said, "Absolutely. Tax-free money into a tax-deferred program that's going to create tax-free income. That's a home run."
And what industry was this gentleman in?
He's in a dental business.
Okay.
But, I mean, you've got people that were able to maintain their offices or their businesses as, especially if they were considered necessary.
Right.
Even though they had a lot of restrictions, and they kept their staff and through this 2 years now, and our business is considered necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not in a dissimilar position, but there are a meaningful number of professional business people who have this money. It's in the bank. It's off the tax table, so to speak. What are you going to do with it? Well, put it back in your business or, invest it. So he's going to he's going to fund this without having to pay tax on it, and he's just going to have more retirement income. And so what I've put together here is an example. It could be $250,000, it could be $500,000, it could be $1 million. This is based on $1 million. And this gentleman's 60 years old. It's an actual case, by the way. Another case. And what we will do is we'll take the money and we can put it in a holding account. We'll earn 1 or 2% at Pacific Life. Each year they'll move 1/5 of it into the IUL contract. Now you'll see. So the reason we do it over 5 years is because we can't put all the money in at one time, because we're going to be buying too much insurance to get there. That's not why we're doing this. This still creates a significant death benefit in the first year, $2.7 million. But we're going to fund this over 5 years, and year 10 is really, the 10th year is the sweet spot of generating income off of this contract in terms of maximizing value and retirement income. And at age 70, we're going to start reducing the death benefit prior to that, because the less death benefit we have, the more cash we build up. At age 70, this death benefit reduces to $770,000, but it's creating $101,000 of tax-free income to age 100. That's the equivalent of a 10% yield on $1 million, tax-free, without any downside risk, upside potential, and the ability to actually leverage these numbers because, Jeremy, as I've mentioned before, we can only show the illustrated or projected rate, which is about 6%. This contract has averaged over 9%. If we average over 9%, these numbers are significantly higher. And when you go to take the money out, as I mentioned in that loan podcast, we can't show the impact the arbitrage the loan feature has to create more income. So these numbers could be significantly higher. And as I've also mentioned, he could hit a home run in the uncapped account or had that client earn $2 million of cash value increase in 1 year in a policy. So this is a way to take some of that money off the table, direct it to supplemental retirement income. We do it over 5 years, create some meaningful income with no downside and upside performance, upside leverage, and the potential of a home run. And you're always going to have a death benefit that ramps down but stays in place until the day you die. That's the idea. Not that complicated, but it's something I think people should be aware of.
And it's certainly less complicated if any of our viewers out there have listened to our other podcasts. And just for reference, was that the fixed or variable when we were talking about the...
That's the variable loan provision. When you go to take the money out, you're not borrowing from yourself. You're using some of your cash in your contract to collateralize a loan with the insurance company. They give you the money. They charge you roughly 4%. But while they're charging you 4%, your money stays in your contract, and that $100,000 each year keeps growing, and you're getting whatever the index return is. And I cannot illustrate the actual historical performance. We can show 1/2 of 1% or 50 basis points in terms of how it impacts income. The actual performance is over 3%. That's 6 times that. And if you think about that, unlike a mutual fund, when you take it out of a mutual fund, it's gone. When you do this, the money's still there. You're getting your distribution from a third party source, and you're just collateralizing all these payments so that over 30 years, you've got $2 million still in your account earning some type of interest on the arbitrage. And we're just assuming it's 1/2 of 1% here. If it's 3%, this number is going to go up. If the return is 9% instead of 6%, these numbers are going to go up. If you hit a home run with the uncapped account, the numbers go up, and you can never lose. So we can pay more income with much upside, no downside, and it's all non-taxable. So it's a great concept, and I'm looking for professional businesses that were considered. Not the term's not necessary. It was.
Yes, I know what you mean. Though during the shutdown, they were not necessary, but fundamental.
Not necessarily required. Was another term, but
yeah, we'll get it. Now, I had a quick question. You mentioned that 101062 that we see here, that number. Let's say on year 14, for example, the market has a good year. And as we mentioned, this being like the no downside, this would be absolute low. But in a good year, would this figure change each year?
Yeah,
could it go up and back down?
These are probably benchmark numbers you can expect in this contract.
Right, okay.
All right. This contract's been around for 20 years, and it's averaged 9. They're showing 6. And going forward, if you're in an S&P index where you can't lose any of your principal or gains, are you going to have some years where the S&P is negative? Yes. I tell clients you're probably going to have 2 or 3 years in any 10-year stretch where you get a 0. Well, if you take the historical average and add in less 3 zeros, you're still going to outperform the projections.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do a little better than that, for example, my wife and I each have one of these contracts. I earned 22.5% on my account last year.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm just trying to get 6. So,
right.
I'm very comfortable with these numbers. But to answer your question, yeah, if performance is outstripping projections, can we adjust it? Absolutely, and that's something you look at on an annual basis. And their systems allow you to do that. And on the other hand, they also have a provision that prevents you from taking too much money out, because you don't never want to lapse this contract, because then you have a huge tax problem. So they have a fail-safe here that says, if that happens, well, if the world, went to hell in a handbasket and the stock market, didn't exist anymore, we couldn't earn any interest, at that point they would say, okay, you can't take any more money out, but we're going to keep this contract in force, pay the premiums, and make sure there's a death benefit and any loans are forgiven. So there's a backstop here and a fail-safe on the downside. But these benchmark numbers, when you stack them up to actual performance, and we can offline, we can spreadsheet those numbers, and they're dramatically better. I can't show them to the client,
Right.
But I've seen enough of them to know that we're very comfortable illustrating these numbers.
Excellent. So just in closing, you mentioned the one client that you had spoken about that was looking into an IRA to an IUL conversion was in the dental field, but this works for anyone that may have any of that unused, untapped monies.
Right. If there's anybody out there that's got, I've got this PPP money, I paid my bills, qualified, the loan was forgiven, I still have it in the bank. What do I do with it? This is a great idea. It's a great idea.
It seems pretty foolproof and safe.
Mm-hmm.
It seems safe. Would you say that it's safer than taking it in any other direction at this juncture?
Well, we're not the only fish in the sea here. I mean, there's other investments, there's business opportunities. We're not looking for everybody's last dollar here, but if you like the idea of creating some additional non-taxable retirement income with significant upside, this is a good idea to look at.
Yeah.
And, what are you comfortable with in terms of putting some of your PPP money in here? That's the way I'd position it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate your time today. And thank you to the listeners out there. Remember, subscribe, share it with a friend. If there's any questions that you have out there, Mark is only one call away.
And it's like we say every week, go Bills.
Go Bills.
And Merry Christmas, and God bless your families. Thank you.
Thank you.